In this video, there will be answers to these common questions from MUET candidates. For a start, the listening test has 30 questions distributed into 5 parts, and it also has 7 different recordings for the different test parts. For each part of the test, you'll have 15 to 30 seconds to read questions, and then the audio recording will be played twice with a 5-second pause in between. The speakers are named and their roles are specified. Each part of the test will test different listening skills, starting with the easier ones in part 1, and then they get harder towards the end of the paper. In part 1, you'll be listening to a dialogue with about 600 to 650 words in length. Each recording will take about 5 minutes, and then you'll answer 7 multiple choice questions. Each MCQ has 3 options, either A, B, or C. It will come with a standard instruction saying, listen to a conversation or interview. As you listen, choose the correct answer for questions 1 to 7. Indicate your answers on the answer sheet. And the words used in the recording are mostly in CEFR or CEFR levels of B1 and below. In part 2, you'll be listening to a monologue with about 600 to 650 words in length. Each recording will take about 5 minutes. Then you'll answer 7 multiple choice questions. Each MCQ has 3 options, A, B, or C. It will come in a standard instruction saying, listen to a talk or briefing or lecture. As you listen, choose the correct answer for questions 8 to 14. Indicate your answers on the answer sheet. Words used in the recording are mostly in CFR levels of B2 and below. In part 3, you'll be listening to 3 monologues by 3 different speakers. In that one recording, there are 3 monologues that should be in about similar length and amount to 350 to 400 words in total. Each recording will take about 6 minutes. Then you'll answer 3 matching questions. 5 options will be given. It will come in a standard instruction, like it said there. And the words used in the recording are mostly in the levels of B2 and below. You'll be given a list of answer options, A, B, C, D, and E. You can only use each letter once. There will be 2 extra options that you don't need to use. So you just pick out the correct 3 and match them to the correct question numbers in the answer sheet. In part 4, you'll be listening to a dialogue with about 650 to 700 words in length. Each recording will take about 5 minutes. Then you'll answer 7 multiple choice questions, A, B, C. And then the standard instruction, it's on there. And words used in levels of B2 and below. In part 5, you'll be listening to 3 unrelated dialogues. Each dialogue is about 250 and to 300 words in length and will take about 1 minute, very quick. And then again, for each dialogue, you'll answer 2 multiple choice questions. Each MCQ has 3 options, A, B, C, and the language will be in levels C1 and below. It's quite high. Each dialogue comes with the following standard rubrics, as you can see in the sample. Now this is dialogue 1 for questions 25 and 26. This is dialogue 2 for questions 27 and 28. Dialogue 3 for questions 29 and 30. This is a written test. As you enter the hall, there will be a booklet containing test questions on your assigned desk. There will also be an answer sheet and OMR sheet, I assume, where you'll put your answers in. When it's time to start the test, the invigilators present in the hall will play out the recording for you. In the recording, there will be a voice acting as your conductor that will guide you through the whole test. The voice will instruct you and remind you things like not to speak during the test, which part of the test you're now in, and giving you time to read questions and when to turn your page to other parts of the test. You are allowed 15 to 30 seconds to read through the questions before each recording is played. The test will run for about 50 minutes. And for this test, bring IC, pen, 2B pencils, and your exam slip or MUET D. Topics used in the recordings will revolve around academic and higher education, whether you're familiar with them or not. Possible topics include, but not limited to, people and culture, health and environment, science and technology, education, financial awareness, and consumerism. You will listen to the topics in the form of dialogues, conversation, interview, discussion, or monologues, lecture, announcement, talk, briefings, or instructions. Second, the speakers will come from different backgrounds or cultures. Culture here means lifestyles or standard practices or procedures in various scenarios in our life. It also means knowing how things work around us. For example, we're talking about health. You're expected to know about the importance of seeing the doctor when you're sick, or knowing how the hospital is run, and how the health system works generally. So these knowledge should help you to understand the speaker's meanings. And this doesn't mean that you can use your own opinion to answer the questions. So answer according to the speaker's views or opinions. First, you'll be tested for language. It includes phonology, or knowing how a word is pronounced in a spoken form. In other words, you recognize the word when you hear it. Syntax, meaning that you should be able to understand speaker's meaning by hearing and analyzing how the speaker arranges his words and sentences, or the whole speech. And then grammar, and then sociolinguistics, the language that we use in different social settings, knowing how to use and respond to language appropriately. So we will be hearing for cues and tones of the speaker. Pragmatism, or the functional use of the language, which means being alert to the flow of the speech and understanding the speaker's different speech styles and types. Testing your language also means testing your cognitive abilities. In order to succeed in listening test, your brain needs to work a lot, especially when some speech are complex or when the speaker talks indirectly. We have to decode or analyze the speaker's language at many levels. At the word or phrase level, we might need to do a vocabulary search, which means understanding a word or the meaning of a phrase by listening to other details in the speech. For example, one speaker wants to introduce maybe new sport called underwater hockey. You would understand what that term means after listening to the other parts of the speech. And after that, we need to analyze the grammar structure in a speaker's sentence in order to understand the speaker's meaning. For example, if the speaker uses past tense in her speech, we can understand that the actions mentioned in his or her speech happened in the past. And then we need to analyze the flow of the speech or discourse by listening to what the speaker has said so far. For example, we could check if the speakers have changed their opinions towards the end of their speech. Like in the beginning, he said A, and then at the end, he says B. Therefore, by paying attention to details in words, phrases, sentences, and discourse, can help you to find specific information, or finding the main idea, or finding the examples. And ultimately, by doing this analysis, you could understand the speaker's motives and overall meaning or gist. And when translated into this MUET listening test, different thinking skills will be tested in different parts of the test. Your task can start from simple jobs like understanding some phrases or finding specific information in part 1 or 2. And then towards the end of the test, in part 5, you'd be asked to follow a long and complex and maybe unstructured speech just to confirm some statements written on the question. Basically, these are the skills that you need to master in order to succeed in this paper, and you can always refer to your teacher for these skills. Pause this video if you want to read these notes in detail. I'd like to credit these authors as I have referred a lot to their works when creating this video. And for trained teachers or examiners, do fill in the feedback form. I've dropped a link in the description below if you have found discrepancies or errors in this video. And I really appreciate your help in clarifying any concerns raised by our candidates in the comments section below. And for candidates, it's a best practice to check the date of this video to see if it's up to date, and always refer to the MPM website for any updates on MUET.